Hi, my name is Linda Kingery. I'm the narrator of the audiobook The Boy Who Was Seen as a Villain by Christopher Gary. This book is really important to me. Christopher Gary has ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder, and unfortunately, it tends to make people think that he's maybe not all that bright. That's a huge mistake. So listen to it, read it, let him know what you think. We're going to share a few chapters here and a few clips. I'll try to keep it non-spoilery, but spoiler alert, there is stuff to spoil. So we're going to stick with the basic premise. And the basic premise is that there's a boy named James, and he lives on a planet that's called the World, and he lives in a city that's called Heroesville. And he is fully aware that those are incredibly lame names. Part of the fun that Christopher had in creating The Boy Who Was Seen as a Villain was coming up with ridiculously lame names for superheroes and supervillains and really, really lame origin stories. So he's funny and he's smart, and this story should, ideally, just like Christopher would, sneak up on you. So let it sneak up on you. The ebook is available on Amazon and iTunes. There's a print version available, and there's a version on Audible. So take a little time and see if you like it. It starts out fairly simple. It took me a long time to record it because there were times when I had to pause because I was laughing too hard. And then there were times I had to pause because I was crying too hard. And as far as I'm concerned, if something makes you laugh out loud and use up a good proportion of a box of tissues, that's a good story. So, Capricious Codex is the name of the company that put this book out, and Christopher Gary was an inspiration. It's difficult for an author with ASD to get representation without them being asked to make a social commitment. Considering that he has ASD, he's not really big on that aspect of it. He likes to create. We at Capricious Codex, we have a website, capriciouscodex.com, and we'd be happy to answer questions. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I worked closely with Chris in putting this together. I'm proud that this is out in the world. I'm proud that someone who doesn't know someone with ASD can read it and go, wow. And I'm proud that someone with ASD can read it and then go, wow. I think people with ASD will see that they're being spoken to by someone with ASD. The full story is not in the young adult category. I don't recommend it for anybody under 16. It does get very dark. It does have a lot to do with how someone with ASD can be perceived and how they simply cannot change how they are perceived because he is neurodivergent. It's like learning a new language. Everybody is assuming they all speak the same language, and we don't. Fortunately, Chris doesn't like to be bored, and his stories are entertaining. Take a moment for the neurodivergent. Take a moment to be neurodivergent. Take a moment to see from his point of view that maybe social conditioning and marketing are not necessarily good things. And if you're neurotypical, or you think you are, take a moment to see how your judgments of the world or your assumptions of someone else's motivations or inferiority might be as misleading as the marketing. But most of all, it's a story. It's intended to make you laugh. It's intended to make you cry. It's intended to make you care. That's why we put this out there. Hopefully, if you give it some of your time, you can see why it was worth it. From all of us here at Capricious Codex, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy the story.